welcome to Live Your Childhood Dream. Today I have my guest Rosie Slosek, who is who created One Man Band Accounting and specialises in cake-loving freelancers within the UK. Really delighted to have you here today, so thank you.
It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. And I particularly wanted to sort of share your work with everybody because you send chocolate brownies to people when you work with them with tax. I mean, seriously.
Doesn't everybody need cake?
Absolutely. And I just think that's just so unique. So I really wanted to start, as well as asking you a few sort of tips on starting businesses, but just to start with a little bit of kind of, how did this all come about? I mean, it seems to be such an unusual way of, obviously all the tax work is assisting, is the same, but you have such a unique turn on it. So I'd love to ask you a little bit how that came about to begin with.
Yes, well, I mean, as anybody who's actually ever tried to Google something they've been trying to sort out on this subject, it's fairly impenetrable. And we do have the most complicated tax system in the world, yes. Arguably, if not actually in complete reality. And even though HMRC does actually do quite a good job of trying to make things simpler than they are in other people's tax systems to like interfaces and things, it doesn't change the fact that when you don't know very much, or you've never done it before, or even if you've been doing it a few years, or you're doing something new, you go and look that up. And frankly, you know, I think Googled, you're going to be completely Googled of all this stuff, because a lot of, you know, what Google isn't very good at is going, oh, okay, that's written for somebody in this situation, and this is a piece of incredibly something technical that is not aimed for you at all. And because obviously the really technical stuff, which is most of what HMRC's website is about, is there, it's incredibly complicated. And it's like, what is it doing this? So what I wanted to do is, you know, I was kind of like the person who had a bank account at age 7. And one of the things I'm very, very good at, and I actually adore doing, is actually translating what can feel like incredibly scary and complicated concepts into something incredibly practical you can understand. Leave off all the stuff you don't need to know. So you have all the bits that you need to do in a way that you understand wherever you're starting from, and then you can put them into practice in a way that feels good.
Brilliant.
And that's basically what I do. It's just, you know, if you've got a business, pretty much all of this stuff is underpinning absolutely all of it. And if it doesn't feel good and you don't understand at least enough that you need to know, regardless of actually who does your tax return, you still need to understand. If you don't feel good about that, that's, you know, kind of like, some people just, they're not fussed and they just get on with it. But, you know, for a lot of us, there's hundreds of thousands of us, that, you know, it's us. It gets in the way of us growing our businesses and feeling good about it, and, you know, being with clients, you know, particularly when their businesses really start to grow.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my goodness, I might have to start to pay tax. Oh my goodness, I might go into a different tax band. Oh my goodness, what about limited companies and all the things, you know, and it's just to feel confident and in control about that stuff and know what's happening. And so really it doesn't look very well on a sort of what you do to networking meeting description. Basically, I'm like a bridge between you having no idea and trying to do everything yourself and spending many fruitless hours desperation Googling and not getting anywhere, or handing it completely over to an accountant. And to be honest, it might be done, but you're really no wiser off as to what the heck is going on. And I'm the bit in the middle, because I have clients who do everything themselves, and I have clients who have wonderful accountants who they adore dearly, but their job is to do the stuff, not to understand. And I'm in the middle with cake.
So you with cake. Yes, and so before we get on to the cake, which is of course the most important part of this, so basically you are working with both groups. You said you're working with people who are doing it purely by themselves, and I know that just taking it at the moment, your tax return course online, and obviously other assistants as well. And as you say, also the second group are people who do have a tax accountant who's doing the tax, but yes, as you say, it's like, well, okay, just hand everything over and just happens by magic, but what happens? So yeah, that's brilliant. And because we've I mean, I should have had tea and cake and everything here. I meant to also set something up anyway.
Oh, well, I've got this. Does that help?
Oh! No, that's better than tea and cake.
Doesn't everybody have a bottle of English sparkling wine on their desk?
Yes, I saw your blog post about that. So, just as an aside, so I think there's some sort of ways to inspire, I guess.
Well, yes. I mean, I always have this. The reason it's English sparkling wine rather than champagne is because it comes from an area of Sussex, which I just really love. It's where I go when I really, really need to just get out. When you get into mind loops and, you've done your tapping, you've done your EFT, you've lain down, you've had a rest and it keeps going. That's where I go to relax. And so for me, that bottle represents an absolutely wonderful time I have down there, lots and lots of relaxation. And I always have one there for where, when you have something really big you want to celebrate. So I open one every time I host a retreat, and every time I break through a really, really big breakthrough, I have one of those. And it's just important to celebrate all those things. So now, because basically every year I'm fairly comfortable doing my tax return every year. So now I still do have that, but I do have a smaller bottle.
Okay.
For me, no, it's not the breakthrough it was every year, but again, I do have a smaller bottle, but that's why it's there. It's like, whatever stage of your business you're at, there is always something you're growing towards, which is why it's always there. And when I know I'm nearly there, it goes in the fridge.
Wonderful. Yes. And I think one of the things I got so excited about with your online tax program was I got a PDF of your favourite teas to enjoy whilst doing a tax return, and just I mean, what when I guess I'm sort of more a little bit interested in it just seems like a very different way. Is it just kind of making it as easy as you can on yourself? Is that sort of where the teas? Because I mean, of course, have you just had the tax return retreat, or is that's coming up?
That's coming up later in the year. It's just about the feeling, because I mean, I do have the occasional client who really are just already, their mindset's in completely the right place, and it's just a case of information. A lot of the time, what's really in the way is, it's not that the information isn't important, it really is important, but it's just that often it's been put off because there's a lot of associations with it, and it's not necessarily even anything to do with tax returns. It's just, for a lot of us, it's been a very long time since we had to do something that was quite important, where we felt like we knew absolutely nothing about it, and that can be very intimidating. It brings up all sorts of stuff to do with money and how cultures of money and how you're going to do anything in success and all that kind of stuff. And tax returns and the structure of your business, and I mean, like, for that I mean like sole trader versus limited company, that kind of stuff, is often where it gets chucked. It sort of can be a bit like the junk drawer in the kitchen, or the junk room in your house. It's like, we would all love it to be beautiful, but in reality, quite often it's where you chuck all the stuff. And because you still have to do it every year, because you can't get away with that because it's a legal requirement. It's not a legal requirement to sort out the junk drawer in your kitchen. But we all know that there's junk drawers that you chuck a bunch of stuff in, you feel sort of icky about it and it gets in the way. Then there's junk drawers that they're fine. You just chuck stuff in, you'll sort it out. And it's sorting all that stuff. To use something slightly woo-woo, it's a bit like, basically, to a certain extent, it's like, it's all the inside job stuff. So what I don't do is sorry, I've got hay fever's come up.
I was going to say, are you all right?
Yeah. No, I'm fine. It's just hay fever. So it's just basically, it's just really, really important. So again, you know, for the money stuff, you know, I don't do all the really, really heavy stuff, but this is why I have all these things here. It's to create little mini rituals about it. So with the tea, I have my chamomile tea, I have my lavender tea. It's really about giving the indication. So actually, so you know, to go out and create those little self-care rituals about it. You know, nothing really majorly dramatic, but you know, it's having a nice time. And one of my clients, she has a little Rosie ritual, she calls it. So she has a rose scented candle,
yeah,
and she has tea with rose petals, and she has rosé wine after she's finished absolutely everything. It's very, very nice. But I do something similar because it just trains your brain that. And it's not even to do with tax return, because after all, that's just one of the tick boxes. It's teaching your brain and yourself that it's worth spending a little luxurious time and attention and focus around all the money stuff for your business. It's around money. It's about your legal structure. It's proper grown-up stuff. And really, if you avoid all this stuff, even on some level that's sort of a bit, you know, icky, then you're actually avoiding your business.
Yeah.
And I can't actually just press a light switch and have it all go away immediately. One of the reasons I do have all these things with the How to Do Your Own Tax Return course is to actually highlight, because quite a lot of people they don't realise it, and often I'm their first introduction, because I have a lot of clients who are coming straight from corporate jobs, and they've, you know, all this online, you know, our online business world is very, very new, and quite often this is the first introduction they've had to actually looking after themselves. And you know, sometimes some of them actually take it and start playing it at work as well, and it's just so important, and it just gives you the foundation and that structure. So that's why I include, it's not just all about whether or not that particular expense is tax deductible.
Yeah, no, and I think that's one of the particular reasons why, number one, I wanted to work with you initially, because of it being a very not a different way of doing tax, but I'm very woo-woo, as they say, and also this webcast is designed for people who are tapping back into their childhood dreams and maybe wanting to bring it up together, their new business, or work on bringing that to the surface. And of course, alongside that, we have the practicalities, after we've got our inspiration, our creativity of running the business, but trying to find ways to do it in a more creative, more gentle way, which I think was one of the. So I think what you're talking about with the self-care and the rituals are just so important, so important. So yeah, I'm just so delighted you set it up. I really am. I'm just I've been telling so many people about you. So. And I think, and I know sort of over the years you've probably worked with different groups as well. So was it sort of the free range humans and
yes.
sort of things?
I don't know if anyone's done all those little ideal client exercises. Oh goodness, I've never been able to pin that one down, because I've worked with part of Free Range Humans, which is run by Marion Cantwell.
Yes.
Which is one of particular areas of her niche is actually people working in the corporate world, either setting up a business because they want to leave the corporate world, or just setting up a business because it gives you more freedom. Right through to I was trying to think of the others. There's going to be quite a lot of actually women's networking groups. Did some stuff with Queen and Gordon Barnes, and I'm a big Leonie Dawson's probably a little bit more woo-woo than I am on the hippie scale, but no, a lot of her. I've got her workbooks, and if I can move this round, there we go.
Oh yes.
Oh, well, notice that's underneath my dress, which is my little inspiration for receiving at the moment. That's a Leonie Dawson wall plan, and it's things like that. They're there, all those different groups. So everything from really quite upstanding ones that are, where, for example, for those, I would probably not be dressed in my little summer outfit.
It's lovely. You're right.
Because you see, one of the reasons that I just find it very, very difficult to identify the ideal client is because, you see, there's an awful lot of people who they're kind of like lost. We're going to say, because of what you say, I'm going to say it's they basically lost their inner child. They're somewhere locked up in a house somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they can hear the knocking at the door going, get me out. And they're investigating the cat flap. But basically they can't get out, and an awful lot of those people are in full-time jobs and fairly traditional stuff, and quite often the only thing they've done so far, because you can't, if you're basically locked in a cage and you can't see the door and you don't know it exists, i.e. the world that we're in, all that freedom, you can't go looking for it or know you want it. And quite often the first step that they will take is to actually going to fairly traditional networking meetings. Or to look at LinkedIn, or to go around the edges. And that's why I just find it so difficult to pin anything down, because it's more of a feeling. It's a person who, whether they're sort of doing happy dances with their inner child, and they're basically hand in hand, sort of, both in tutus, what age you are, and basically dancing down the hill in the rain, which I say, that'll probably be me. Right down to somebody else who's basically in clothes they absolutely hate, probably in a job that makes them wear heels and makeup and all of that stuff, and they know something's not quite right somewhere, and something's told them to go to this meeting, maybe someone invited them, and unless people like us are at those meetings, they're not going to know. And one thing that's quite nice is that, because everyone has to do the tax return and all the money stuff, quite often it's the first thing. It feels very, very normal in everyone has a very normal job way to go, and it's the thing to do, isn't it? It's the thing everyone will tell you to do. Yes, go be sensible, go over there and do that.
Yes.
So, and it's safe. So really it's sort of more of a feeling, actually. And I think inner child is a very good way of describing it. There's an awful lot of inner children out there who are basically rattling an awful lot of doors trying to get out. So we shall open the doors, or at least nothing else, get very large cat flaps for people so they can get out that way.
I think that's very true, and I think that, yes, it's just like, it's all right, it's here. Yeah, no, I think you're doing some incredible work at that. Wow. Okay, so I think maybe just going on to a little bit about some basics of the tax. I'm not sure, but the main thing I guess was a little bit about what are the main things to think of when we are starting our own business.
The first question, well, actually, I'll start with an assumption, actually, that a lot of people make. And the assumption is that you don't have a business until you've made money. That's not the case. And I'm going to start getting a little tiny bit technical here, because HMRC's definition of a business is where you intend to make a profit. Now, this doesn't mean you don't love it as well. It doesn't mean that profit is your only reason. The definition of a business is making profit. Otherwise, basically, you're shelling out money because you like it. So it's actually about intent. So, for example, if you have a Twitter account, a Facebook account, a Facebook page just for a business, or a website, and you haven't got any clients yet, you're very clearly going out and trying to get them. You're trading. That's their word, trading.
Yes.
Whether you're trading or not. Now, there are ways of going out and sort of being out there and going networking and having a website without actually being trading. You can put a sort of, I will start my business on a certain day, and by the way, if someone's thinking of doing that, then if someone hits on that website, they're interested in you, please set up something like a MailChimp list. And if you don't know what MailChimp are, Google it. Yeah. I'm sure Ruth has some really good people who explain all stuff about email lists. But Something like that basically means that you're saying, yes, I'm out there, but I'm not actually doing it yet. So that will be the main thing, is that if you're out there and you're ready to take on a client, if someone said, I want to work with you, and if your reaction would be, bring it on, yes, please, I would love to work with you, let's start tomorrow, then you are trading. That's my first one. The next thing is really the big decision is, again, this sounds very, very grown up, but going back to what you're saying about inner children, this is a bit like on the way to the wood to play, you don't run across the A1. I live next to the A1.
Right.
And I don't run across the A1 straight in the middle of all the buses and then the lorries. I use the crossing. I don't make a thing about it. I just go round the corner, press the button, wait until the little green man tells me it's safe to cross and the traffic has stopped, and then I cross, and then I go into the wood and I go listen to the birds. That's really what it's about. It's perfectly okay to be creative and to be an artist and be all those things and still not be stupid. And I'm going to be quite strict on this, because you need to look after this stuff. It doesn't make you boring or disorganized or sensible, if that's a bad word for you. Yeah, it's just looking after you in the same way that you might look after your art set or look after your computer. It has to be immaculate. I have a Mac, it needs to be clean. It's just the same kind of thing. And the first decision is whether it's your legal structure, which basically means whether or not you're a sole trader, which is SOLE, trader, but for a lot of us it also means SOUL as well, or a limited company. And I've got, if you go on my website, there's some more details about that, of which is which. But mostly is that a sole trader means that legally you're the same as your business. There's a lot of scary stuff about there about, oh my God, you can lose your house. It's just stuff to do about your business. It just means sensibly looking at what you want to do and going, oh, okay, that's absolutely fine. That's really low risk, no issue. Be a sole trader. And most of the clients, certainly most of the people doing the how to do your tax return course are sole traders.
Nice. It's
easy, it's cheap to set up, it's way most people does. A limited company is a separate legal entity, and I know it sounds a little bit legal entity, but you get that by having legal liability. So for example, if you're starting off as a coach and you want to coach probably not executives since we're on this podcast, but say, for example, I'll go for a craft example, that's easier. Yeah. You're starting off your craft business and basically you're just doing craft fairs and, just sort of fitting it around the kids and just seeing what happens to begin with. This does not mean you cannot go on to have a 6-figure business. I know people who've done it. Doesn't mean you have to stay small, but you're starting at that. That's a fairly low risk business. It's very simple. Started off probably sole trader. However, though, if you've got ambitions of being sold in Selfridges or John Lewis, and again, there's no reason why you can't, that then brings a whole other level of risk in, because first of all, they probably won't deal with you unless you are a limited company, which is the first thing. But secondly, we're talking about having a lot more stock. There's a lot more, the contracts are a lot bigger, and there's a lot of things that can happen that aren't as much controlled by you.
Right.
And so the risk is different. I wouldn't say it's worse or better, it's just different. So that's one example where you might want to be a limited company. And quite often my suggestions are start off doing sole trader and then go to a limited company. So I say I've got an article on my website about that one as well. But there's basically your main options. But for most of the people watching this, you probably want sole trader.
Sole trader, yeah. And I was going to say, my question was, you can move from one to the other. And
you can go sole trader to limited company. It's pretty tricky to go the other way around. A limited company is a pretty big, grown-up, formal thing to do. It's not easy to go the other way. And then one of the main things about limited companies, it can be a very, very good thing, but you have to have your accounts done for you.
Right.
And we're talking, if you live in the cheaper areas of the country, you're talking about £300 or £400. If you don't live in the cheaper area of the country, you're talking £700 to £1,500, regardless of how much money you do or do not make.
Okay. Yes.
So that in itself should indicate, but it's important to look at this stuff, because even through looking at that decision, you're actually thinking about your business, where you want to go with your business and how you want it to fit into your life.
Yeah, got you. Well, that's really really helpful. And as you say, I think most people are probably going to be in the direction of sole trader. Yeah. So I guess that's sort of the basics to begin with, really, isn't it? Obviously, there's for a limited company, is that things like registering with Company House? That's that sort of side of things as well, or?
Yeah, there's quite a long list of things that need to be done, basically. So if you're interested in, if you know you probably need a limited company, and one example can be somebody who's in higher rate tax in their job. But again, it depends. Because a lot of this is, sometimes it's about your business, but sometimes decisions are made based on best decision for you personally and your household to do with tax as well.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just super simple, sometimes it's not necessarily complicated, but you need someone to sort of talk you through what's the best decision for you. So, you know, it's why I did a retreat on it in April, the demystify limited companies. So I'm writing so that was filmed, so I'll be creating the course from that in August, and I'll be doing another retreat in April on it. But that's why, it's because on that retreat I had everything from a lovely gentleman I've known for years who had been a sole trader for all his trading life and just actually wanted to make sure he'd made the right decision.
Okay. And
somebody else who'd just got a limited company, and somebody else who had got a job and was just starting her business and wanted to go through all the options. So, for example, you know, sometimes people decide to go straight into limited company with that. Sometimes people go, oh, okay, to begin with, start off with something simple, and then once you get going a bit, go into a limited company. There's just so many ways of doing with it.
Yeah.
But if anyone's listening and going panic, probably sole trade is the way to go for you. I say go on my website and have a look. I've got lots of articles based on all of this kind of stuff. So the starting a business ones, probably if you put starting a business into the search box, then they'll pop up basically, and you can actually have a look down all the different things, and they're all there.
Brilliant. And that's onemanbandaccounting.co.uk.
Yeah.
Lovely. There'll be details underneath this video. So I think the final thing, and it was really just touching on it because obviously we've had an EU referendum. It's a small little matter. Really thing. Is there anything particular we should be thinking about? Obviously, it's such a state of flux at the moment. I know you've just brought out a brilliant blog post basically saying, don't panic, be was basically what I took from that. But what is there sort of like one or two quick tips in that, you know, obviously it's going to be a bit different probably in days time or weeks time, but anything you'd like to add for that at the moment?
Yeah, actually that's about what I was going to say, because I mean, regardless of what happens with all of this, and yes, who knows, frankly, I don't think anybody knows.
No.
But it did send me back, because I'm the co-founder of the Eva Action Campaign. So within a very short space of time, at the end of 2014, I went from just being, you know, you and me, Joe Blog, sort of, you know, going down the cafe to work like anyone else, to suddenly finding myself ending up in meetings with Treasury ministers. And it was quite startling. And as a result of that campaigning and having exposed to that level of government, what we realised is that when things like this happen, we saw a big, I better make this about me, it's not really fair to go and speak for the other girls as well, sorry, properly mature women. What we saw was basically they were the people who obviously clearly wanted to enjoy throwing their toys out of the pram. And this is not to denigrate the seriousness of anything at all. But it was like, oh my God, it's all dreadful, excuse not to do anything. And I mean, it's fine if you want to have the reaction, but basically I'm in the group of people, it's like, this is happening, this is serious. It may or may not have an impact in your business, and well, it will have an impact, but in a positive, negative way, we really, really can't tell. This is completely unprecedented. It's not just about this. It's going to have worldwide impact, whatever happens. It's a time for you to really learn how to do self-care properly. And these words get expanding about quite a lot, but really this is really what it's about. It's those times when all the normal certainties go way out of the window, nobody knows what's happening, and to look at your business and go, okay, where are the gaps? So just on a really personal level, well, okay, this stuff is happening, but what would happen if I was suddenly sick, or my parents were suddenly sick, or my child was suddenly sick? Look at your business. What needs to be fixed? What aren't you in line with? What needs to be sorted out? And while it has nothing to do with the EU referendum, it's quite often, when it's like when they're busy, it's often when very uncertain things happen that actually it's often a very, very good time to be in the right frame of mind to look at all of this and go, and to decide what you're going to do and what is the right thing to do. And, often you can't do all the necessary things, but to take the first step, where do you want to be? So, for example, I have a location independent business, not so much because I want to be a digital nomad going and working in Thailand, but simply because I decided I didn't want my business to be geographically fixed to a particular place. And that's a specific choice. Does how you do your business fix actually what you want in your life? Do you have all these things? And just decide where you want to go, decide how you can, at least the next few steps, and put them in place. And that would be my suggestion on that. It's a very, very good time to look at your business and sort out the gaps. As well as I've been wanting to put the Frog song by Dodgily by Paul McCartney into a blog post for 3 years. And I have no idea how on earth I could do it, because it's yes, I'm not quite sure how I describe that particular song. It's taste absent possibly, but it's completely crazy. And finally I have managed it. So if nothing, say always look for opportunities to do the unexpected.
Yes, no, I was delighted to see that song. I haven't seen it for years.
I mean, it's completely crazy, but I thought that the lyrics really suited the occasion. It's basically, sink or swim, nothing is certain will ever begin. Side by side, you can tell I've watched it, but side by side, hand in hand, we all stand together.
Yeah.
And feel free to read the lyrics and have it on mute if necessary. But that's really what's needed at the moment, and it's really what you need for your business. Go and do the housekeeping. That would be my suggestion.
That's wonderful. Yeah, no, really, really wise words, and thank you so much for that. And yeah, we all stand together. Wow. Yes, gonna have to go back and watch that video again. Well, thank you so much for this interview. So much information, so many words of wisdom. Look out for those inner childs everywhere as well. And so if people want to work with you, please do. You get chocolate brownies, people, seriously. And tax advice, but chocolate brownies.
It's needed. It's the little motivation to sort of get you over the hump, or you can just eat the chocolate.
Yeah. No, it's so it's onemanbandaccounting.co.uk. And is there any other good ways of getting in touch with you, or was it mainly the website? No, I'm on the website. I'm also on Facebook quite a bit. So you can go and look at me on Facebook, and I've got some Pinterest board and Twitter, and quite a lot on Instagram at the moment as well. So they all sort of vaguely link up with different things, but come over and say hi. Yeah. Oh no, that's lovely. Well, as I say, thank you so much, and hope that to speak more, and yes, go and get chocolate brownies, people. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rosie. Brilliant. Bye.